If you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Hey guys, it's Michelle and I'm back, and it is October 20th, Saturday, and 8:04 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, this is my second video of the day outlining Q-related news, and there is plenty of it. We're going to go on and look at some other interesting things. Now, I did just have to restart this video because my first item, I had not noticed the source of the information, and I do not trust the source. And it's maybe these people do masquerade as patriots, but I don't trust them, so I'm not going to quote anything that they say because I have good reason to believe that they are not who they say they are. So without mentioning names, I'm going to go on, leaving out my first item. But my second item is very interesting. I think you'll agree. Now, solid third quarter for Maxine Waters' daughter, Karen, who pocketed $57,000 in campaign funds for her usual slate mailer management fees. Karen Waters still stands to collect an additional $94,000 currently listed as campaign debts. So that's interesting. Now, of course, we know that Maxine Waters is corrupt, and she has been at different times named as the most corrupt. But, and we've known also, it's been mentioned before, that her daughter Karen works for her, mailing flyers. Maxine Waters, I'll mail your flyers for that amount of money. No, I won't. I'll burn them. I'll rip them up and burn them, but I'm just saying that's a lot of money for mailing flyers, don't you think? Yeah, I'm thinking that she's probably doing nothing and getting paid for it. That's probably what, like you. Anyway, let's go on. And next, picking on Maxine a little bit here. She certainly deserves it. And somebody, now this was supposed to be Mike Myers in a new film. I guess it's a movie, Halloween, October 19th. And somebody, it's an artist, apparently put Maxine's head on the billboard, and it is quite hysterical, I think. Of course, the Democrats did not see the humor in it, and certainly Maxine did not see the humor in it. And I understand why, but I still think it's pretty funny. So I had to show you that. And I found this on my travels about the internet tonight, and completed by an anon, and I think it's very well done. The murder of a Supreme Court Justice, Antonin Scalia, John Podesta, complicit in Supreme Court Justice assassination. Well, yes, I think that we all know that he was involved. Let me try to make this a little bit bigger. It's going to make it blurrier, but hopefully I'll be able to read it anyway. Now, November 11th, 2015, Podesta receives bizarre movie script email coded hit job, including an old map highlighting the location of the planned murder, which is here. And the email ID'd the hit job location as Cibolo Creek Ranch, where Justice Scalia would be visiting in February. The email mentions multiple payouts for the hit job, $15 million upfront, $1.5 million bonus. Most Americans, and for that matter, the entire rest of the world, either don't remember or might not even have heard about our war with Mexico and the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which forced Mexico to accept $15 million for all the land in this link. Now, Ken penciled out a budget of $1.5 million. Now, I'm not really sure what this is to do with right here. I really don't. But anyway, we do know this because we went over, and it's been a while ago. It was actually quite a while ago when we went over, when Q was talking about Antonin Scalia and the connection to John Podesta. Now, here is Cibolo Creek Ranch, the location where deceased Justice Scalia was found February 13th, 2016. And note, there is a pool at the ranch and a vineyard next to the ranch. And that's important for the reasons that we'll get into right now. He was found suspiciously with a pillow on his head. We discovered the judge in bed, a pillow over his head. His bedclothes were unwrinkled, Poindexter told the San Antonio Express-News on Monday. He was lying very restfully. It looked like he had not quite awakened from a nap. No security detail protecting him. Scalia often traveled with U.S. Marshals who presumably would have known the right number to call, but they were not on this trip. Now, Podesta's email 4 days before the murder of Scalia. Wet work is another word for murder or assassin. Pool and vineyard, note. Now, it sounds, he said, I'm all in. Sounds like it will be a bad night. We all need to buckle up and double down. And this is from John Podesta. And it's to Steve Almendorf. And didn't think wet works meant pool parties at the vineyard. Interesting. Now, again, we've looked at this before, but there is every indication that he was involved in the murder of Antonin Scalia. He was definitely there. And we know that it was a murder because Q told us. All right, now let's move on here. This is interesting. I had never heard this, and I have not corroborated this, but I do, for the most part, trust this source, so I'm going to share it with you. John Podesta's mom adopted around 50 children, according to a local Chicago obituary about her death. The red flags about the elites who are trafficking kids have not only been everywhere, they've been in our face. And that is the absolute truth. So why would anybody have a need to adopt 50 children? Where are those children? Don't know, but it would be interesting to look into, wouldn't it? So this is another thing in the news recently, well, within the last few days anyway. You probably have heard this already. New low, Democrats harass Melania as she tries to visit hospital patients. Well, that should surprise exactly no one. You think that Democrats would love Melania Trump. She's an immigrant. She's beautiful. She's smart. She lived the American dream. You'd think there'd be no reason to criticize her. But of course, she's married to President Trump, who is basically Hitler, so she is treated like garbage by the media. I mean, she's Trump, who is basically Hitler to the media, of course, not to us. The mainstream media and Hollywood elites say horrible things about her on a daily basis. Just a few days ago, rapper T.I. attacked her, and we know that. No matter what Melania does, she will get attacked by the left. In fact, she can't even visit Americans in the hospital suffering from opioid addiction without being criticized. First Lady Melania Trump was greeted by a handful of protesters outside Thomas Jefferson University Hospital in Philadelphia, where she visited an intensive care unit for newborns suffering from opioid withdrawal Tuesday. A few protesters held signs with slogans like "Melania, leave Philly," and "complicit," and chanted "Shame on you, Melania," and "Families belong together" outside the hospital, according to a pool report. Trump also spoke at a hospital conference on newborns exposed to opioids in the womb. As the caretakers of the next generation, it is our responsibility to protect our most valuable and vulnerable, our children, Trump said, according to CNN. That's the best that Democrats can do. Most shameful behavior from the left. Lucky for Melania, her poll numbers remain strong, and they do. I think that for the most part, people do like and respect Melania Trump. What is there to not like or respect? I don't know, but maybe that's just us. I don't know. I've not heard anything negative about her from anyone, really. except a few deranged left. But maybe I'm just not hearing it. All right. And let's see this from Nancy Pelosi. I'm sorry. But you have to know these things. I know, it's painful. Nancy Pelosi details Democrats' plan for open borders. I don't see any of us voting for wall funding. Well, then that's a good reason to vote against the Democrats, don't you think? House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi says that if the Democrats take back the House in the 2018 midterm elections, none of them will vote for President Trump's wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. In an interview with Politico, Pelosi detailed her plans, or lack thereof, for the U.S.-Mexico border and national immigration policy, which does not include Trump's proposed border wall. I don't see any of us voting for wall funding, Pelosi said. We have a responsibility to secure our borders, Pelosi said. There are ways to do that are consistent with civilization, humanitarianism, and who we are as a nation. We have to remove all doubt about that. Pelosi's hinting that Congress must remove all doubt that the U.S. is humane could come in the form of House and Senate Democrats' plan to end all immigration enforcement across the nation, including the abolishment of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. As Trump said at a recent campaign rally, every Senate Democrat has signed onto Senator Dianne Feinstein's proposal that would abolish and end all immigration and border enforcement across the U.S., allowing the 12 to 30 million illegal aliens living in the country and all future illegal aliens to be free to travel back and forth across the hemisphere without enforcement or protections for Americans. Well, that sounds really smart. The Senate Democrat plan would also likely ban any and all federal arrests of illegal aliens. The legislation has earned the nickname the Child Trafficking Encouragement Act, as it allows illegal alien smugglers to freely traffic children into the U.S. without the fear of arrest. And isn't that what they want? They want a continued supply of fresh children, don't they? Fresh blood. That's what they want, because if you build the wall, you stop the trafficking. And you all know they like the trafficking. They love their trafficked children. Excuse me, had to have a drink. All right, let's go back now. See what other trouble we can get into. And Newt Gingrich, if Laura Ingram's estimate of $7,000 per person is right, the current caravan is at least a $21 million project, paid for someone who wants to undermine America. Now, gee, who could that be? Who has lots and lots and lots of money who wants to undermine America? Who could that be? Yeah. Now, I thought this was interesting. The GDP, 4.1%. Jobs created, 4 million. Consumer confidence at a 17-year high. Women's unemployment, 65-year low. African, Hispanic, and Asian American unemployment, lowest ever. News coverage of Trump, 90% negative. Now you know why we call it the fake news. It's not reflecting the views of the American people, that's for sure. Everybody I talk to is just like happy as clams. I don't know why they call clams happy. I don't know if clams are truly happy. I don't know. They look like they're happy, but who really truly knows? But anyway, the people that I talk to seem quite delighted with the progress thus far that President Trump has made. And yet, to hear the news, we are being governed by Hitler. I don't know. What gives? All right. Now, I can't remember what this is, but let's go take a look at it anyway. It might be something delightful. Or not.
Theories
No, it's not anything delightful. And you know what? I'm not in the mood for this. It's how the false fringe QAnon conspiracy theory aims to protect Trump. And it's a bunch of hooey. Yes, you heard me. Hooey. I know. I need to watch my language. All right. Let's go back. Now, this This right here that I'm gonna cover right now, this is interesting. 17 out of 20 countries that have donated to the Clinton Foundation saw increases in arms exports authorized by Hillary Clinton's State Department. Things that make you go, yeah. Could there be a correlation there? No. Yeah, look at this. Like, this is the difference in percentage. Algeria, Australia, Bahrain, Brunei. Canada's only 18. I doubt that, she sent any weapons up here. I mean, what do? We just apologize to everybody. We don't use weapons. Germany, 8, and see some, like Italy declined, or Ireland declined, Italy increased. But look at the biggest increases. That's what they're wanting too. 17 out of the 20 countries that have donated to the Clinton Foundation saw an increase in arms exports. So, you look at the biggest donations, and there are the countries that have the most arms, because, of course, they paid through the Clinton Foundation for those arms, right? Pay to play. Hey, you pay, you get to play with arms. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what people do with more than 2 arms, but hey, I don't need any more than 2. But look at here. Look at Qatar. 1,482% increase. I'm thinking they had some arms there. They had more than 2 arms there. They had a lot of arms. They were like regular octopuses. Or is it octopi? I'm not sure. I think it's octopi. All right. I should know that, shouldn't I? Anyway, now, okay, I think you're going to get a laugh out of this. I really do, because I did. Okay, maybe I didn't laugh out loud, but inside I was laughing really hard. Now, look at this. This is in Ohio, and it's Democrat voters. Now, it makes me laugh. I'm sorry. It really does, because these people, like, I don't even know how to, like, really, their IQ really is that of a soap dish. Seriously. Okay, now, you see these circles. I know this is hard to see what they're pointing out here at first, but the colors mean something. So every place that you see a white circle, they've cloned that person. So you can see this person and this person is the exact same person. Now, this peach color or coral color, whatever, you can see they've cloned the person. Now, they've just flipped it. They took this person and they flipped it horizontally. Now, let's look at the green. Same here. Now, they didn't even flip this person. They couldn't even be bothered to do that. Let's look at the yellow. Boy, that guy was really cloned. He was clonable. He was a clonable fellow. Look, he's there. He's there. He's there. He's there. He's there. He's there. What are the odds of being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 septuplets? They might have been septuplets, identical septuplets. I don't know. Could they have been? Probably not. Now let's look at this. Lovely color. What is that? Turquoise. I know you don't call it turquoise in the United States, and I can't remember what you call it, but it's not turquoise. Okay. Look at this guy. Yeah, didn't even bother to flip him. There he is again. He's down here, but I can't tell if that's really him. But I'll take their word for it. And the red. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh boy, she's really clonable too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a septuplet. No, what is that? I don't know. I'm losing. Oh, there she is again. She's everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 of her. Boy, I'd be like, like seriously, if that was for real in that crowd and I kept running into the same person, I'd be running out of there going, ah! No, really, I would. Okay, well, now we know how they get their numbers. That's what they do. They just clone people. Yep. It's pretty easy. Yep, I've got Photoshop too. I can clone people myself. I could clone lots of people. All right, let's go on now. Oh, okay. Now, I hope, is there anybody that's just eaten? Really? No, I'm concerned a little bit here. Is it anybody just eaten? Because you might not want to look at this. All right? I'm just saying. I'm just trying to look out for you. Nothing but the best for my listeners. All right. Here we go. Here's Joe Biden. What the heck is he doing? He's grabbing that little boy's wee-wee. Now, don't tell me he's not, because he is. And look at the look on it's not funny. It's really not funny. And I shouldn't even have made that sound, because it's not funny. It's absolutely revolting and disgusting. But look at the look on that baby's face. Now, there is no reason for him to be grabbing that baby that way. Really. And I think he's putting pressure there too, personally. It's disgusting. What would there, and he takes a picture like this, like it's all normal. What does he do when people aren't looking? That's what I want to know. Because we've seen what he does when people are looking. We've seen it lots and lots of times with little baby boys, little baby girls, young girls, young boys. I mean, I don't think it matters to him. I just think he just likes children. Not like you and I like children. Like, I like children too. Not like that. In fact, most 99.999% of the world probably that wouldn't even cross their mind. But he evidently has a problem. And maybe there are more pedophiles than I realize in the world. I don't like to think about it, but with all that's been coming out from Q, I'm beginning to wonder. All right. So let's go on from there. I hope that nobody lost their supper or lunch, depending on where you are in the world and what time of the day it is. But let's go on from there and leave that subject behind. Yeah, let's look at this. And it says this is like a campaign for the wall.
Some jumping off the bridge into the river below. The group was stopped at a dead-bolted fence when chaos erupted. People spilling over and through the gates, breaking their way into Mexico, many saying they're simply looking for work.
Our message is we're not criminals. We're coming over here because we want to work. We need a job. We need better, a better life. That's why we're here.
Wonder if that was scripted. I'm thinking yes. But anyway, I agree. Yeah. Refugees don't wave their nation's flag while marching toward another country's borders. Invaders do, and I agree with that. So anyway, let's go on from there and go to the next item, which I can't remember what it is. I know, I'm terrible.
It's over here, and we are following this breaking news out of Washington. Some serious allegations this morning facing the State Department.
That's right. According to internal State Department memos, the agency might have called off or intervened in investigation into possibly illegal and inappropriate behavior within its ranks, allegedly to protect jobs and avoid scandals. This concerns the time that Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. We want to get right to NBC's Chief White House Correspondent Chuck Todd with the latest. Chuck, good morning to you.
Good morning, Savannah. There's an old saying in Washington that the cover-up is worse than the crime. But in this case, both parts of it are disturbing. Allegations of prostitution and pedophilia, and allegations that those crimes were somehow covered up or not looked into. So the State Department this morning is having to respond to those claims and those investigations of misconduct by State Department officials, including by an ambassador and security agents attached to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And the allegations are that these investigations were whitewashed, quashed altogether, and that those orders came from high up.
NBC News has obtained documents related to ongoing investigations into some disturbing allegations involving State Department personnel and at least one ambassador. A State Department memo says the ambassador, quote, routinely ditched his protective security detail in order to solicit sexual favors from both prostitutes and minor children. The memo also says a top State Department official directed department investigators to, quote, cease the investigation into the ambassador's conduct. It's just one of what another document describes as, quote, several examples of undue influence from top state officials. On Monday, a State Department spokesperson will not confirm specific investigations.
I'm not going to talk about specific cases, but I can say broadly that the notion that we would not vigorously pursue criminal misconduct in any case is preposterous.
A former investigator for the department's inspector general has complained to Congress and the media that the investigations have not been thorough because of the pressure from those high-level officials.
We take every allegation of misconduct seriously, and we look into it.
It was less than 6 months ago that another major internal investigation painted Hillary Clinton's State Department in a negative light. That scathing report on the failed diplomatic security procedures in the aftermath of the Benghazi attack.
What difference at this point does it make? It is our job to figure out what happened and do everything we can.
As we noted, the whistleblower in this case, a member of the Inspector General investigative team at the State Department, she's gone to Congress demanding an investigation, and it's our understanding Congressman Ed Royce, a leading Republican in House Foreign Relations, says he does plan on having an investigation, and no doubt hearings are probably going to come soon as well, Savannah.
But Chuck, where are we on this? Is at this point just allegations from one whistleblower? Have they been substantiated in any way?
Well, here's what it is. The whistleblower says that this report, that the internal investigation having to do with how diplomatic security even investigated these allegations, that's where this scathing report came from. It's how the investigators somehow dropped the investigations, including into this ambassador and onto some other deal, including on folks that were part of security detail. So the allegations themselves haven't been fully substantiated by us, but this Inspector General whistleblower believes that the evidence was clear, but the problem was the investigation wasn't done in time to find out for sure if this misconduct was happening.
So what happened with this? That's what I want to know. This is from November 16th, 2017. What happened with it? Was it just squashed like everything else concerning Hillary Clinton? Because she seems to get away with whatever she wants to get away with. I don't know. It says that she shut down an investigation into an elite pedophile ring in the State Department, ranks in order to avoid scandal and protect the careers of high-ranking officials and ambassador. What happened? I don't know. I'd like to know. I'll tell you one thing, and I mean, I do believe Q. I do believe that there's all these indictments, there's all these sealed indictments. I believe that justice will come, but I'm telling you, if the people don't see something done with Hillary Clinton, I don't know what's going to happen in this country. I don't, because I think people are just hearing more and more and more and more stuff, and it seems like she's still out running around. She still thinks she's going to be president in 2020. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Very hard to believe. But anyway, now, this is something that I wanted to alert you all to. Submitted 2.7 hours ago, but that was a while ago, so I'm not sure how long ago it was today. Rumors popping up all over the chans. Soros and DNC planning a false flag shooting on one of their own rallies. The shooter will be set up as a Trump fan who is into Q and the NPC, which is a non-participating character, and that comes from games and gaming. If you have a non-participating character, it might be a character that doesn't, I mean, it could be somebody insignificant that maybe your character bumps into and they say, hey, they really don't have any, real role. And anyway, that's where the whole NPC meme comes from. So the shooter will be set up as a Trump fan who is into Q and the NPC meme. This is so they can attack Trump, Q, and the Chans right before the election. Spread the word to disarm the threat. And if they are still stupid enough to do it, it will backfire. Heard this? False flag warning, QRV, submitted 2.7 hours ago. So, and whoops, where did that go? Where did it go? Sorry. I have trigger finger. All right. So, yeah, and it's just the same thing over again. But I wanted you guys to be aware, because the more people that are aware of this, the more it disarms them, right? That's my thinking anyway. Now, found this from Bill Mitchell. He said Pelosi is grooming Adam Schiff to be speaker. My God, can you imagine old bug-eyed bobblehead with the gavel? No. Now, that's funny. Old bug-eyed bobblehead with the gavel. No. And he is bug-eyed. I think he's on, he looks like he's on speed or something. He really does. And I can't wait until all this comes out about the Standard Hotel, and there's some stuff, really unsavory stuff that he's been involved in that I hope comes out soon. It's like a cesspool there. It's not a swamp, it's a cesspool with big honking turds floating everywhere. It is literally a cesspool. Now, I found this and I had to include it because it's really quite funny. When you realize most adults in the world still read this symbol as pound, and you named your women's movement as against sexual harassment, pound, me too. Yeah, because it's true. Most people in the world do read that symbol as pound and not hashtag. And they did name their movement Pound Me Too. So it's just poking a little fun at the left. Come on, people. I know you have a sense of humor. Now, this from Clint Eastwood Jr. Yeah. I saw the Just for Men ad on at Fox News this Saturday morning. The man was putting on makeup. So I did some Googling and found this headline. Just for Men and other grooming brands rush to embrace male vulnerability. Is this a liberal thing? Or am I getting too old for society? I must be too old for society because this is no way attractive to me. I don't care what color he does his hair. I wouldn't want my man with makeup on, okay? I'm just saying. Maybe it's just me. Maybe women are like, oh, hubba, look at him. Oh, he's got a smoky eye. Oh, that lipstick. Heats me up every time. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I like my men au naturel. All right. So here, let's see what this is because I just can't remember. I looked this stuff up a while ago and then I did some chores and now I came back and just like that, it's gone. All right. In historic 9-0 decision, Supreme Court just shredded Democrats. Huge. Now, what is this about? Sometimes the Supreme Court gets it right, and in a rarity, leveling a historic 9-0 decision, SCOTUS just sidestepped two major cases concerning partisan gerrymandering. This allows controversial district maps to stand and be used in this fall's midterm elections just the way they are. That's great news for Republicans, and Democrats are incensed over it. They had their hearts set on redistricting voting districts, i.e. partisan gerrymandering. Isn't that an interesting word, gerrymandering? I think I'm going to say it again, gerrymandering, and one more time, gerrymandering. Okay, they have been participating in partisan gerrymandering. Having the dead vote, I hate when the dead vote. I wish they'd stop doing that. And recruiting illegal aliens and refugees to vote. Those are just a few of their favorite tricks. You have to ask yourself if Dems are willing to illegally and unethically unseat a sitting president simply because he is a Republican and they don't like him. How far will they go to rig an election? As far as they can possibly get away with, sometimes with the help of government agencies. They bend the rules just as far as they can and had planned to do so in the midterms as well. Their blue wave is more of a drip, and now this. Things are just not looking good for leftists in the upcoming election. The decision is a huge one from SCOTUS, CNN reported. The Supreme Court on Monday sidestepped 2 major cases concerning partisan gerrymandering. I said gerrymandering. That's right, gerrymandering, allowing controversial district maps to stand and be used in this fall's midterm elections. The 9-0 ruling, authored by Chief Justice John Roberts in a Wisconsin case, is a blow to the Democrats who argued the Republican-drawn maps prevented fair and effective representation by diluting voters' influence and penalizing voters based on their political beliefs. Well, we don't care what you have to say, Democrats. We really don't. This decision is a huge one from SCOTUS. Oh, wait, I just read that. I got so excited I read it again. It must be that word gerrymandering. I love to say it. Gerrymandering. Democrats won a challenge in a lower court, but the Supreme Court's decision on Wisconsin case Monday would limit who can bring such cases in the future. A second case from Maryland involved the Republicans challenging a district map drawn by the Democrats. The justices said that a lower court did not act improperly in leaving the map in place. In an unsigned opinion with no dissents, the justices said that the challengers failed to reach the high bar of showing irreparable harm that would be necessary for a preliminary injunction to block the map. Even if we assume, contrary to the findings of the district court, that the plaintiffs were likely to succeed on the merits of their claim, the balance of inequities and the public interest tilted against their request for the preliminary injunction, the court said. So there you go. They can't redraw maps and cannot indulge in gerrymandering because that would be awful. All right. I know I need to be a little bit more serious. I will try to get myself under control here. Now, here we've got Jimmy Carter. I think he did. Now, this is in reference to Brett Kavanaugh, and this is what he has to say. I think he did attack her sexually, and I know that I saw him lose his cool, Jimmy Carter said of Brett Kavanaugh. So, the former president slammed Kavanaugh for losing his cool during the testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee last month. And apparently he believes Dr. Ford. Well, here's my opinion. I think that Jimmy Carter needs to stick with what he knows. And what is that? Peanuts. Okay, that was a bad joke, but it does. In this instance, it's very fitting. All right. Let's go on here. Yes. This is interesting. Yes, indeed it is. Not anything new per se, but sort of. U.S. hid U.S. hid Osama bin Laden in Iran for a decade after 9/11. Bush and Obama White Houses worked Saudi and Iranian deal to safeguard terror leader. Now, I'm not going to get all into this because it is old news, but it isn't really. I mean, this was posted October 16th, so it's not old news, but it's certainly not anything we didn't know. It's just interesting that it's coming out. Osama bin Laden, the founder and leader of terrorism conglomerate Al-Qaeda, who was responsible for the deadly and devastating September 11th, 2001 attacks on U.S. soil. Was he? Was he really? never was hiding in Afghanistan or its damp caves, according to explosive revelations in a new book from intelligence insiders and highly secret government documents. Thousands of Americans died that day and many more in the wretched aftermath. Instead, incredibly, bin Laden was whisked to a safe house in Iran following the deadly attacks on the World Trade Centers in New York, the Pentagon, and the downing of a commercial jet in western Pennsylvania targeting the White House. And the highest-ranking U.S. officials in George W. Bush and Barack Obama's White Houses, and possibly the presidents themselves, knew where bin Laden was and did nothing to capture him, according to the insider revelations and documents detailed in Mike Thomas Paine Moore's upcoming book, How We Dismantled the FBI in Our Pajamas. The book's revelations reveal that the United States was working with Saudi Arabia and Iran to keep bin Laden's living arrangements in Iran very quiet. One of the biggest scandals in United States history is coming unraveled, Moore said. This is a national travesty and people need to go to prison. The highest members of both administrations knew where bin Laden was tucked away, but sent U.S. troops to die in Afghanistan looking for a ghost. Republican and Democrats working together to protect al-Qaeda and sell out the United States. We have it documented. So there you have it. I'm not going to get into all of this here, but I am going to read this book by Thomas Paine. Absolutely, I am. I need to get on that and get it ordered. All right. Now, let's go back. What else can we get into? Maybe this. Now, this is new. I have not heard this before. This was from October 3rd, but this is the first I'm hearing about it. And so perhaps it's the first you're hearing about it as well. Congressman details Robert Mueller's reported excessive drinking during the workday. Insiders call for FBI investigation. So I don't know. And I'm not going to get into this because, you know, I don't know. Moore agreed the information leaked by employees of high-scale D.C. drinking establishments about Mueller's drinking should be investigated by Congress and law enforcement entities. If Kavanaugh is fair game, then certainly Mueller should be, and the implications about his day drinking are disturbing, Moore said. This is a man investigating the President of the United States. This is a potential powder keg. Moore dropped the bombshell on Mueller's drinking on Tuesday night via Crowdsource the Truth. Here is the clip from that show. Warning, some graphic language. We're not going to listen to that. And a second congressman who spoke to Moore, Paine, for the book, described this well-known dilemma in the Beltway as Bob's problem. It's more of a question about leverage, the congressman said. What kind of leverage do others have on you if you're a problem drinker and have gotten into bad situations? That is important because this man is investigating the president and putting people in prison. Does he, Mueller, owe favors? That's a question for Congress to tackle. Or perhaps big media can start asking questions. If either have the guts, a very big if. Moore said more facts, including what establishments that blew the whistle on Mueller's drinking, are detailed in his upcoming book. So, again, I'm going to have to turn to the book. I am going to read that book and see what's in it, and I will report on that for you. And if I think that it's worth you guys reading, I will tell you that as well. So, let's go back. Now, this is interesting and scary, but this is from the 9th of January, so I think we've already heard this, to tell you the truth. Not sure why I grabbed that today while I was going through, because we have already heard this. Developer of WikiLeaks, second developer of WikiLeaks inspired submission system SecureDrop. Security expert James Dolan, age 36, has tragically died. He is said to have committed suicide. The first, Aaron Swartz, is said to have taken his own life at age 26. We, of course, know he was killed. And this is old news. I'm not sure how it snuck in there, but it was bad because we want newer news. You know, because once it's not news anymore, it's old. Anyway. Inquest rules that the death of Julian Assange's lawyer, John Jones, QC, was not suicide, opening door to lawsuits. Now, this isn't new either. Where's this coming from? Maybe it was down further on the page and I hadn't deleted it. I don't know, but that's not new either. Now, let's see this. Maybe I've gotten into a batch of bad news, of old news. You know, when news goes off. Hate it when the news goes off. When was this from? I don't know. I'm not sure if this is newer or not, but let's look at this. See what this is. I can't bring you old news. That's no good. Now, yes, that's old news. That's on Julian Assange. Old news. Goodness sakes. What have I been smoking? Well, in 2008, Bono's nonprofit, One Foundation, raised $14,993,873 in public donations, of which only $184,732, or just over 1%, was distributed to charities. Where did the rest go? More than $8 million went to salaries for executives and employees at One. Well, is anyone surprised at that? No, I didn't think so. Again, that was old news. So let's see. That is something we've looked at already. This was old. Well, let's look at this because I can't remember what it is. And it might be something pertinent that we need to know. Yeah, I got into some bad old news. Okay. Oh, yes. This is very interesting. This is very, very interesting. And yes, we do need to know this. Okay. So I'm sure you've heard by now. Remember the funeral home in Detroit where they found babies' bodies? Well, now there's more. So the Perry Funeral Home in Detroit, where they found 60 plus babies' bodies, the second funeral home in a week where they found this, uses a flower for their logo that is an abortion-inducing drug. Check this thread for more details. Now, this is interesting. This is a big blue clue, if you ask me. That blue flower they use as their logo is a native remedy for inducing abortion and childbirth. It seems this funeral home was running an underground abortion ring, likely for the cult, and sold parts of these bodies for cult purposes. Now, I don't know. This is probably, a surmising, but, when you find that many children's bodies of babies, 60, that's a lot of children or babies. And the thing is, why would they use as their logo, why would a funeral home use this flower as their logo when that flower is used specifically for inducing abortion or stillbirth? That's a good question. I don't think people, that have a business don't just randomly grab a flower and put it up there. It's too big of a coincidence that this is the same funeral home where they found all these bodies of children, and their logo is a flower that induces abortion and childbirth and stillbirth. Yeah, I'm telling y'all, Detroit is effing evil. There are bad things happening all over the world, that is true, but I believe we're going to see the worst and most horrific stories coming out of Detroit and Oakland County. These 2 funeral homes in 1 week is just the beginning. By the way, I grew up only a few miles north of these places, and I spent a lot of time as a teen and young adult in the area where Perry is situated, and that's the funeral home, Perry Funeral Home. These will not be isolated incidents. They're going to find a lot more funeral homes that have been doing stuff like this around Detroit. Who knows where the bodies are buried? Cute. And she goes on here. She says, good God, please let this be the beginning of the end for the cult in Detroit and my family along with it. Side note, when a business advertises they are family owned and are serving families, etc., the family, as in Family International, aka Children of God Cult, which there's a lot to that. That would take, I don't know how many videos to get into that. Someone is growing these things for the cult, and someone is converting them from raw flowers into the compounds that the cult uses to induce abortions, mind control victims, and make them forget and poison people. DHS needs to search the gardens in Oakland County. I bet many of the infant bodies they found are from forced abortions. The cult forces breeders to get pregnant during rituals. Then they force abortion, miscarriage, and/or sacrifice the child for cannibalism and ritual purposes. Unregistered births, most likely. And my whole thing is, how did they even know to look there? Did they just randomly find these bodies? No, I don't believe that. I believe that they were tipped off, and that's why they're finding all these bodies. That's 2 funeral homes in 1 week. That's not a coincidence. It can't be. I mean, in all my life, I've never ever heard of finding babies in funeral homes, finding the bodies of babies in funeral home. I have seen a couple of people charged for not cremating bodies properly and disposing properly, but this is something of an entirely different nature. So this pasque flower, used for abortions by native Blackfoot tribe, historically used by Perry Funeral Home on their website, perryfuneralhome.net. Check for yourself. Symbolism will be their downfall. Same image used here. So yeah, there's something to this. I don't know where it's going to lead, but I would think that it's probably associated with some cult-like activity. By what group? I don't know, but obviously there's something untoward happening where apparently babies are aborted and stored for later consumption. Now, I don't know what condition the babies were in when they found them. Were they stored in a freezer? Were they, had they started to decompose? I don't know. I think that would tell us a lot and answer a lot of questions right there. If they're stored in the freezer, you might have some basis for believing that they may be used at a later date for something. Are there parts missing? Were they used for the harvesting of body parts, livers, hearts, and so forth? So we don't know the condition of the body, so I think that if we did, it would answer a lot of these questions for us as to what happened to these children. Isn't it odd that their photo collage is all children and younger adults and not a single elderly person? Well, yes, that is strange, because generally it's the elderly that die. Not always, but I'm saying generally. People die when they're up, in age. And I'm saying generally. Of course, there are people that drop dead of heart attacks at 20. It's rare, but it happens. And there's people that die of diseases that are very young and hardy. But for the most part, funeral homes deal with the elderly. And OMG, this is so sickening. Children are our most precious commodity, our future. Think about what these babies could have become. Can charges be filed? This makes me want to cry, and I would agree. What this flower does, too, is it induces abortions, toxins, and oxytocins, which slow the heart in human. Excess use can lead to diarrhea, vomiting, convulsions, hypotension, and coma. It's been used as medicine by Native Americans for centuries, but of course the Indians would know how to use it. Blackfoot Indians used it to induce abortions and childbirth. Pulsatilla should not be taken during pregnancy nor during lactation. Extracts of pulsatilla have been used to treat reproductive problems such as premenstrual syndrome and whatever that is. Additional applications of plant extracts include use as a sedative for treating coughs. It's also used as an initial ingredient in homeopathic remedies. And somebody asked, I wonder how common it is. And I don't know. So anyway, just seeing if there's any other information here. This is something that we might need to look into further. I don't know. Should we? There's a lot. There's so much out there that it's hard to look into everything, but this certainly has me curious. because there's something to this. And I think that this person's right, that it probably has to do with some sort of cult activity. That would be my guess anyway. Now, I'm going to read one more thing, and that's going to be it for tonight. And I thought this was interesting. Now, I try to warn as many people as I can against taking the flu shot, but not so many people listen to me because they think that I'm being ridiculous. But according to this news site, Neon Nettle, flu shots are killing senior citizens in record numbers, study warns. Scientists found vaccine-related deaths in elderly citizens are rising at an alarming rate. Now, that should surprise exactly no one. Senior citizens are being killed by flu vaccines at an alarming rate. Researchers have found that senior citizens are being killed by flu vaccines in record numbers, and the death rate is rising at an alarming rate. A study conducted by JAMA discovered that flu shots may be killing a significant number of senior citizens. Okay, how many times do they have to say that in a different way? Would you get on with it already? According to data collected by the study, 60% of people over 65 years old are at risk. A former investigative journalist for CBS, Cheryl Atkinson, stated that the study highlights the worrying rise in mortality rates among elderly citizens who are vaccinated for protection against influenza. According to Atkinson, not only do the findings prove that the flu shots do nothing to improve death rates, but they may actually be contributing to the increase in ill health and fatality. That's what I've been saying all along, but people think that I am being ridiculous, and it just makes sense to me. The study got little attention, she says, because the science came down on the wrong side. Whereas the researchers had set out to prove that the push for massive flu vaccination would save the world, the researchers were astonished to find that the data did not support their presupposition at all. The data actually shows that deaths increased, not decreased, among seniors following vaccination. So Johns Hopkins scientist Peter Doshi, PhD, issued a report in the prestigious British Medical Journal, according to News LI, asserting that the CDC policy of routinely recommending the flu vaccine is being based on low-quality studies that do not substantiate claims. So I would say that this is legitimate. And, you know, personally, I warn my parents to... my mother has remarried, and she remarried at 80 some years old. Isn't that awesome? And they are happy. Anyway, I have said to them, don't take the flu shot. And they're like, okay, you're a conspiracy theorist, so why should we listen to you? So, I guess if you're a conspiracy theorist, then everybody takes what you have to say with a grain of salt because they think that you think it's a conspiracy. And it is. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. It's 9:02 p.m. Eastern Time, and I have hit on the main highlights for the news for today. And so we're all set. I don't know if I'll do another video. I guess I'd have to think about what I want to do a video about. But at any rate, that is probably it for tonight. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll be back with more Q-related news, or if Julian Assange drops the big one tomorrow, I'll be all over that. So, have a wonderful night. Stay well, stay safe, stay blessed. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.